Hello, welcome back to AGM Football. We're discussing yesterday's match, Arsenal versus Man United. Of course, 1-1 after extra time, and Man United dumped Arsenal out of the FA Cup 5-3 on penalties. I've got Marty here with me as a guest today, a regular AFTV contributor. Um, look, it was really disappointing, but I just want to dive down into the detail, as they say. Um, where do we go from here, Marty? What's the feeling on your side?
No, I mean, if I'm honest with you, obviously the result is very disappointing in the way that I think in the nature that we lost against 10 men
Mm,
at home to Manchester United. I think those three things right there are always going to hurt. Losing at home, losing against 10 men, and then especially losing to Manchester United, because I'm from an era when those games were huge. They're massive. You know,
mm,
they were the rivals. Not, if I'm honest with you, the Man Cities. It's the at the Liverpool's, the Manchester United for me are the two other biggest clubs in the Premier League. That's just how it's been. It hurts obviously, and there's a lot of say blasphemy. There's a lot of fingers being pointed, and there's a lot of yeah. Look, should we had chances? They should have been put away. But they weren't put away, and individuals had bad days at the office, and they're human beings, and that does happen. Unfortunately, have I had
yeah.
bad day at the office? Yeah, I have. On a few
Mm,
occasions, and I
mm,
probably will have a few more. It's one of those situations that you want to have a lot fewer of them than more of them, because uh, obviously everyone is now in uproar. We've got a big game against Tottenham coming up on Wednesday night, and it's very important to lift the mood quickly. But look, you can't take credit away from Manchester United in the way they played. Their goalkeeper was fantastic, played out of his skin, had a world class game, and they took their chances, they buried them, and they were very resolute with 10 men defending very well. And the shots they did get
mm,
off got saved. And then when they had their chances, their chance, they took it clinically, very clinically,
mm,
Fernandez. And then obviously they managed to take it, to penalties, and they put every single penalty away. And I'll just quickly touch on that penalty subject. The one thing I don't like seeing with penalty taking is people stuttering on the run up to penalties. I
yeah.
am an old fashioned run up to the
Yeah.
ball and absolutely rifle it. I want that like a Scud missile going through the top corner. I want that.
Mm,
I want that net breaking.
mm,
And I just think on Havertz and Odegaard's run ups, obviously on the first one with Odegaard, that a run up, I didn't think he did it personally. And his favours, but it's his technique. And obviously we saw the same technique in the penalty shootout, and it worked. They were both, both missed penalties were good penalties. It's just a
mm.
goalkeeper gets the right way, and at that level, a goalkeeper guesses the right way, and as long as he gets to the other side, he saves them. Could they have a bit more power on them? Potentially, yeah. And that's it. And essentially, we weren't clinical enough. We got caught once with a mistake, and then they scored a goal, and we weren't clinical.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a few things that a lot of people wanted to talk about. I noticed after when we came out of the Emirates yesterday, and I wanted to touch on a couple of these points with you. First of all, the atmosphere in the ground, Marty, was just so flat. It really took Manchester United to go 1-0 up, and then for the red card to happen, for the Arsenal fans in there to get involved. And unfortunately, it's not the first time I've experienced that. Newcastle was much the same. I felt it was very flat for that game as well. And it seems to be after this sort of revival of the fan base that started in around sort of 21, 22, where there was that raucous sort of bear pit of an atmosphere in the stadium, which really was quite intimidating for opposition players and fans as well. It seems that that's really cooled off. And there seems to be this sort of reticence to really support loudly and really, give the noise and passion. And that worries me. That really does worry me. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that was something I really noticed yesterday.
I think for me, I think on Wednesday night we're going to see a completely different Emirates. The
Mm,
cup games, especially in the earlier rounds, a lot of the season ticket holders don't take the tickets for some reason. I mean, each their own. I find the league games and season ticket holders and everyone who sits around me and quite a few of those aren't there for the cup games. And I mean, funnily enough, I wasn't actually there for the cup game yesterday. I was in the AFTV studio just for a watch along, but that was slightly different. But you you do get changes, and obviously where it's slightly corporate, you know, it's being sort of PC enough, because you know you don't want to take it back into the 80s when the terraces were absolutely abysmal. But then, you know, I've been like yourself. I've sampled some atmospheres in the Emirates, and you're like, listen, there's 60,000 people, or 50, you know, in that case, 52,000 Arsenal fans, and it's just lackluster. It's flat, and it does take that to get going. It's like one of my personal bugbears is people leaving after 80 minutes. You
Yeah.
know, personally, I stick
Yeah.
around. Look, I go to the game because I want to watch the entire game. I want to watch the players walk around at the end. I want to hear the
Yeah.
music that comes on. I find that interesting when they pull out the
Yeah.
tunnel, and I like seeing the players give shirts out to little kids. And you know, I like to see even sometimes the away fans going nuts. You know, when they've won, because that needs to sink in. You know, and that for me is part and parcel. And tasting that defeat of football, it's all the emotion, that emotional roller coaster. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Adam. I'd just like to think that definitely on Wednesday night, you know, these are the games that I look forward to with this raucous atmosphere in an NLD.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think you really, you know, absolutely encapsulated everything there. I mean, I think it's all part of an experience, isn't it? You know, back in the times of the Romans, we had gladiators and we had
Yeah,
lions and we had, you know, people cheering the, you know, the spectacle, and that's the modern day football, isn't it? Certainly for us, you know, you've got
yeah,
your clans, you know, you've got the Manchester supporters in terms of yesterday, and then you've got Arsenal supporters, you know, North versus South, you know, really deep rooted rivalries,
yeah.
and you want to feel it all. You want to feel that passion, that zest, that real desire to support your club. And I'm going to give kudos to the Man United fans. They were brilliant. They were
Do you know
absolutely
what?
brilliant.
And do you know what, Adam? With that as well, away fans, I always find it's when you go away with Arsenal fans,
Mm,
they're always rocking. I mean, I've been,
yeah,
I'm guilty. I go to a lot of away grounds, and I sit in home end, and I've watched the Arsenal fans, and they go bananas, and I'm quite envious of not being in there sometimes. But I
mm,
go to watch the football because I enjoy the atmosphere so much, and I love it. And I think, you know, one thing I definitely really noticed was when Dalot got sent off. When that second yellow, that atmosphere then changed, and obviously everyone's
mm,
like, "He's going, he's going,
mm,
he's got to go." And obviously, when you're in the stadium, that's a blink. This football is played at lightning speed. When you're talking about two clubs of the magnitude of Arsenal and Manchester United. Listen, however anyone sees their form at the moment, and this, and we need to buy this, and you know this manager should be, this should happen, these owners should go, and all this, whatever you're talking about. The bottom line is this stuff is played at lightning pace, and when you are in
yeah,
the stadium, you miss stuff. Like I
yeah,
do personally. You can't. There's stuff that goes on off the ball. There's stuff that goes on the ball. But one thing, when you see Dallo go through Marino, you
mm,
knew there was something,
mm,
and you knew, and the stadium changed. And then obviously Gabriel's goal goes in, and that place, I live for this stuff, and that
mm,
place goes crazy, crazy, literally everyone, and that's the release and the emotion of football. But then, you know, you go to the end, and the disappointment of it all, and obviously the Odegaard miss with the penalty,
mm,
that brings it down. When the penalty gets given, everyone's thinking, "Oh, Odegaard's stepping up. This is in the back of the net." You
mm,
know, he's an experienced. You know, in hindsight, and hindsight's a fantastic thing. But you did have, you know, for me, any the players on the pitch at that time. For me, Jorginho's your guy. Like he's the penalty taker. But you know, it's hindsight's a thing, and it is what it is.
yeah,
It's done and dusted now. Listen, Odegaard, he's a cool, calm customer. I didn't have a problem with him taking a penalty, and it was really unfortunate, and that probably, I would imagine, really, you know, really affected him, because he knows that, you know, that
mm,
goes in, and we win the game. I think there's a
mm,
lot of things, you know. Even I've heard people talking about this white kit. You know, like every time I've seen us playing this
I
white
know.
kit, honestly, I think we played in it the third round for the last three times, and every time we've lost. So,
Yeah,
you know, I heard. Listen, play with it in pre-season, or do
Yeah,
something else. Play with it
yeah, yeah,
in not even the Community Shield if we're lucky enough to get into that. Play with it in pre-season. Have a laugh with it there, or when you're on your Dubai break, stick it on then and stick it on
yeah,
social media.
yeah, yeah. That's it. That, you know, that's actually a really good point, because we started using that kit. The first time I remember it being used was for that Nottingham Forest game that we played away
There you
in
go.
that season.
Yeah,
And yeah, Forest won 1-0. Of course, it's a famous game now because it's on that Arsenal Till I Die series on Amazon
yeah,
Prime,
yeah,
where Arteta comes in and goes, throws the basket down because he's so upset. I'm
yeah.
upset. That scene. It's pretty famous amongst us Gooners, isn't it? But yeah, we've never. I don't think. Yeah, you're right. I don't think we won a game in that kit. So the
And
minute you see them walk out in that kit, you're just thinking,
do you know what? And the thing is as well, and anyone to think, like you say, just to touch on that, you talk about Arteta being upset. I was at the training
mm,
ground today, and the mood is down, and the team are upset, that these defeats, people think, I think fans think that this doesn't affect the team. It does. These defeats
mm,
hurt, and the
mm,
players are down, and what this is about as a fan base for me is picking them back up and saying, listen, we're going to support you through thick and thin. We believe in
mm,
you. We believe in the players that we've got, and you're going to go out and you're going to do a job, and let's regather, let's regroup. It's not just a simple case of, in my line of work, when someone does something, something wrong or makes a mistake or something, I go, right, you're out the work. Depends on the level of the mistake, right? You're out the door,
mm,
you're no good. And if they've proven
mm,
themselves and they've got credentials, that's not how I operate. I give them a chance. Okay, if those chances get run out over a period of time, then I will turn around and I'll be like, enough's enough, mate. You're gonna have to go. But that is also the important part of picking them up for the next game, and getting ready to go again.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well said. I mean, we've got to move past it. I mean, something I said on an interview after the game was, life moves on. Whether you win, whether you lose, whether it's a good day, whether it's a bad day, life moves on in the same way. And it's the same in football. Unfortunately, you don't get a chance to play that game again. It's
No,
over. We're out of the FA Cup until next year. But onto another competition, and we are still in somewhat of a tussle in the Premier League.
two and a,
So
two and a half competitions, right?
2.5 competitions. That's right.
Two and a
Yeah, two
half.
and a half. That's very well put. That's very well put.
Do you know what? Do you know what? And the one thing I kind of, I sort of bring this analysis on that game to an end. One thing,
Mm,
as a football fan, and I'm a football
mm,
fan. I like watching football. Okay, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I want to win stuff more than anyone. I've seen Premier League titles being lifted. I've seen invincible Premier League titles being lifted, and there was nothing better than watching that at White Hart Lane. Believe you me, and to relive anything near that again, I would absolutely love. And I really would. And I want this team, and
yeah.
finding a way to believe in this team and support this team so they can do this. But one thing I will say about that game yesterday is it had everything. It had a red
Yeah.
card, yeah, it had a disallowed goal, right? It had penalty shootout, it had goals, right? It had amazing saves, it had strong challenges, it had injuries. Not that I like seeing injuries, but
Mm,
it adds to the excitement, and it had a very diverse atmosphere in the stadium. Now,
mm,
personally, to me, all of those aspects are everything that I watch football for. It's that
mm,
emotional roller coaster and that ride that you go on. Yes, are
mm,
we looking to win trophies? This is an FA Cup. We are the leading, holders of the FA Cup. We've got 14 FA Cup wins, and I think Manchester United are behind us on 13,
mm.
and they're the reigning holders. Listen,
Yeah.
we've been knocked out by the champs, and that's it. We dust ourselves off. We're Arsenal Football Club. We go again, and that's it.
That's it. That's it. We'll touch on this a little bit more in the next one when we speak a little bit more about the next game coming up, which of course is an absolute blockbuster, massive game, the NLD. But just finally,
Yeah,
want to ask just to conclude with this game, and it's a very obvious question. So there's nothing intuitive or clever about this question, but we've got to ask it.
go on.
They surely have to sign someone, don't they? They've got 18 days of this transfer window remaining. Surely
Yeah,
they've got to get someone through the door.
I personally can't see. Listen, from what I've heard, look, Saka is back Saka's back in the gym. Okay, so
Mm,
that's positive news. That's from a reliable source and all. He's back in the gym. He will be back on the pitch this season, which is it's going to be a massive boost. I think even start to hearing him getting nearer is amazing. Obviously, it's a shame for Wanyeri. This was his chance for me to be like, look, he could have nailed that spot down. That's the reality of the situation. He would have had a run of games. He would have had the entire run of games, basically complete freedom, with only Raheem Sterling up his arse, which didn't seem like at any time like a favourable option. And he could have nailed it down. Then he goes and gets a muscular injury, but I don't think he's going to be out for that long. And look, we're down to 4 attacking players. We've got Sterling, we've got Trossard, we've got Havertz, and we've got Martinelli. Do we need someone? Yeah, we do. We need, but it's got to be the right person. It's not about just going in and just let's just go and get because Osherman looks like, because he's being bandied around by the fan base, or Gyökeres, or Issa. If this is finding a profile of player that fits Arsenal Football Club, that fits our style of play, that will fit in to what we need them to, and that is gonna get us goals and going to do a job. Because also you have got to understand a business end of view. If you're going to be giving this guy a chance, so he's going to be on 200k a week plus, if he's that prolific and he's that good, and you're going to be spending anywhere between 50 to probably 150 million quid on him, which is a heck of a lot of money. Now, if the board get this wrong, and or Arteta will be obviously heavily involved with it, then the chickens will come home to roost, because what will happen is, if it doesn't work out, they will say, you bought the wrong guy, you don't know what you're doing, this is the time for you to go. And do I believe that Arteta's the man for the job? Yeah, listen, we're second in the league, we're doing very well in the Champions League, we've got another half of competition. All we've got to do is go to St James's Park and score two goals, which I'm not saying I could do standing on my head, but listen, we're Arsenal Football Club. Are we capable of it? Especially if we get this guy in that we need in time.
Yeah.
He could be that guy that goes and scores those 2 goals. You don't know. But yes, do we need to get some personnel in? 100%. We've released, I say released, obviously, Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira, Eddie Nketiah, 4 attacking options that we had, which, I'd like to say, any one of them, well, I don't know, Smith-Rowe, but then Smith-Rowe had problems with doing 90 minutes. So, you've got your injury stuff there, and you speak to any Fulham fan and he'll say the same thing. So, yeah, do we need a reinforcement? Definitely. I think it's getting someone to plug a guy. And then in summer, you go all out and you get your guy. You get this guy that is going to be here for 4 or 5 years. You get your Thierry Henry-esque player. You get your Bergkamp player. You get this marquee signing that's going to go and light this up.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think that's very well put. It's going to be very difficult to do the kind of deal in January that we need. But I think we covered very well the Man United game. It's done for another season, the FA Cup. Like you say, the second half particularly was a blockbuster. It had everything, but we didn't end on the right side. So we'll leave the Man United talk for now. Thank you very much for all of your opinions, Marty, as always.
Thank you very much, mate. And I look forward to being invited onto the Arsenal v Tottenham preview show. Thank you very much, my man.
Look forward to it, and on to the next one.
Good man. Nice one, mate. Thanks a lot. Take